Brenda from Pella has a stewardship question. She says, what are your views on the care of our creation? Specifically, how would you balance our need for natural resources with God's command to care for the world?
I think that's a very good question. I used to teach environmental studies. I love the outdoors. I wanted to be either a zoo director or a vertebrate paleontologist when I was young. So I have a real interest in the natural world. But I'm also in favor of an environmental solutions agency to replace the Environmental Protection Agency. The Environmental Protection Agency has become a job-killing, anti-business, anti-local control, Washington-centered radical bureaucracy. And it's fundamental. You go out and talk to small towns all across Iowa about how much they're going to be bankrupted by EPA regulations. You talk to farmers about how much EPA now makes no sense at all. And again, I'm not a chemist by background, but the idea that we should treat milk as though it was gasoline makes no sense at all. I mean, this is a level of, there's something that happens to bureaucrats in Washington that common sense leaves and dictatorship enters. And they issue rules that make no sense. Same thing, by the way, is true of the Fish and Wildlife Service, which has the Endangered Species Act. They're currently looking at a lizard in West Texas, which they may declare endangered. And it's a classic case study. The area they want to declare endangered is the largest single gas and oil reserve on land in the United States. Now, if the entire area is what they want to deal with, the lizard can't possibly be endangered. Because that means that they're covering an area of thousands of square miles. And if there are lizards across all the thousands of square miles, how come it's endangered? And the truth is, they apparently can't find enough of them to make a good study, so they're assuming the absence of finding them is proof that there's a problem, even though, so they're going to do billions of dollars of economic damage to the United States on a theory. Now, that's just a lack of common sense. And so I think you get a very different view. And again, I taught environmental studies. I believe in the environment. I'll just give you two examples for those of you who are conservative, who sometimes you get your back up. I wrote a book with Terry Maple called Contract of the Earth, which was an effort to create a green conservatism. I'll give you two specific examples. When I taught environmental studies, the Cuyahoga River was on fire in Cleveland. Now, I don't care how conservative you are. You do not want rivers to be on fire. It's a really bad sign of how much pollution there was. And so the steps that we took that were common sense, that cleaned up the Cuyahoga River, that cleaned up all sorts of places around this country, those have been good steps. We have a cleaner, healthier environment today than we did in 1970. Second example. It's pretty clear that DDT, in fact, was directly wiping out birds. And the fact that the bald eagles made a huge comeback is wonderful. And some of you may have seen the eagle cam that they had down at Decorah, where they actually were, good. We now have eagles everywhere that they hadn't been there in 30 or 40 or 50 years. On the other hand, there are places in Africa where you should be selectively using DDT because the malaria mosquito is killing people. Malaria is the largest single killer in the third world. So there's some common sense balance that says, do it correctly here, don't do it over here, and somehow that all the common sense gets erased. So I would say you want a common sense environmental policy that maximizes both a good economy and a good environment, and that emphasizes finding new strategies and new approaches that provide a win-win relationship.